The Uhuru Academy overall is an amazing school from the teacher to the students. Is a place where kids can build their confidence and learn how to write, read, type, all of that good stuff. We learn our history here. We honor our ancestors, so we learn about who we are and where we come from, and I really enjoy this about that school. About this school. Um, and like everybody's pretty much saying, it's a safe space, and we can always be able to feel like we can open up to our classmates and our teachers. So that's what I love. I love the environment and that they promote not being afraid to ask for help. Something positive about the Hoover Academy is this is a safe space, and you can be able to say whatever you want to say without being embarrassed. Just like how Amani said, I've been able to I'm sometimes I can be shy talking around people, but y'all have taught me not to be shy and everything. This is a very good school. The part that I love about this is when we do ancestor reverence and African history. I think this is the greatest school I've ever went to because you teach me about my history, and at the other schools they never taught me one thing about my history. They just taught the only black people they talked about at my other schools were like Carter G. Woodson, Martin Luther King, and I think that's it. So you guys helped me learn my true history.
Yo, mic check 1 2 1 2.
Mic check.
Peace and power, family. We are back, black for season 2, right? Black for season 2 of Fight the Algorithm podcast. I'm Baba Amin, host of the Uhuru Academy. I'll let my esteemed co-host introduce himself.
Absolutely. I'm Dr. Junichi Bomani, Pipeline of Power Institute. It is a pleasure to be back for season 2 of Fight the Algorithm. Let's go get it.
Hey man, my comrade, my brother, you know what I'm saying? In the struggle, in life, you know what I'm saying? It's fun to be back, man. We got 1,000 miles in between us, but we still working together, still looking out for family together, man. It's an honor to be on here with you, brother. You looking good, man. You looking slim, brother.
Hey man, just one day at a time, brother. Just trying to take one step at a time, man, and flow into the next phase of life, man. Speaking of family, I got your young warrior princesses right over here.
I know, man.
I hear him.
Speaking of family, that's the noise of them, my children. You know,
exactly.
my children hanging out with their uncle
Yes,
and their cousins this weekend, this week.
Right.
And they supposed to be heading out tomorrow, right?
I believe so. I believe they're heading back your way, so that we're gonna bring the show back to your side of it.
They coming. I know it's been so quiet around here, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been like a vacation at home. I miss my babies though, man. I appreciate
they miss
y'all.
you too, man. They miss y'all
man. I appreciate y'all, man. Doing that, man.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised you ain't threw a couple of yours in the car and sent them back our way.
Hey man, if some you check the trunk when they get there, check the trunk.
Yeah, so now me and Koyo been able to chill, able to relax and all that, man. And I'm sure that we're gonna have some sort of family trip coming up later on this year or something like that. That's what our queens do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's what our queens do. So no man, but it's great to see you. You looking good. I'll be checking out your workout posts, doing all kind of stretches I can't do. I'll be like, oh no, brother, on that's level 12. I'm on level 2.
Hey man, we gonna work up from the bottom then, brother. We gonna get it done, man. Let's work it out.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But no, man, it's encouraging to see that, man. Continue to put that out there. I see the work that you're doing with young people out there in the community with Pipeline to Power, the Pipeline to Power Institute. Not only working with young people, but developing the next generation of us. You know what I'm saying? That want to get out there and work with the people as well. And so, man, yeah, man, it's good to be here. It's good to see you. Welcome, Black, to Fight the Algorithm.
Man, Black Power, man. I'm so excited, man. I'm fired up for everything that we're going to delve into, man, going forward, and how it's going to powerfully impact our people and give us new perspectives and ways to engage and fight and battle and build and grow and produce. Hey. It ain't stopping. Let's go get it.
Absolutely, man. We got to talk about before we do that. Shout out to Christina Singletary.
There she go. I should have knew it's coming.
Man, you be trying to unalive you. Working out with Baba Bomani. You know what I'm saying? No, man. No, he trying to alive you.
There you go. The new you. It's the new you. We get rid of the old you and bringing in the new you.
That's all. The old you got to die. The old you got to be unalive first, right? Before the new you step in. You know what I'm saying? And man, speaking of a new you stepping in, my heart is heavy, right? And when we decided we was gonna come back and do season 2 for Fight the Algorithm, I was thinking of a topic, and I had to just kind of go with where my heart was and where my mind is. And shout out to Rich Ross, my brother. And I appreciate him because he's one of the people that keep me educated as to what's going on in our community, that keeps me educated as to what's going on in the hood with the youth. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that, because out here building schools and doing the things that we do, I'm not in the hood like I used to be. Right. And so I rely on my people to keep me up on what's going on. And my heart's been heavy, man. And I'm just got to be real with it. I'm looking out at the landscape, and I guess I could start with Memphis, because I think Memphis really kind of got me here. I went, and shout out to Mente Butts and Smooth Living in Memphis, man. I was invited to the Juneteenth Jamboree in Memphis over the Juneteenth weekend, and as a keynote speaker. And when I got to the city, Mente and other and shout out to brother Willie T, man, they sat me down and they were just talking to me about what was going on with the youth in the community, and the common denominator, right? Of course, they talked about there's some serious abandonment issues going on. You know what I'm saying? The Black family is broken down in a lot of our communities. You know what I'm saying? I'm not dumping on single mothers and all that. I'm just talking about as a unit, right? We're starting to see the consequences of our baby mama, baby daddy mentalities, right? And the poverty is there because the jobs are going away, right? So the poverty thing is there. All these things are there. Of course, systemic racism is there. All these things are there, right? But what's exacerbating everything and making it even worse and more dangerous is the drug culture that's there, right? And of course, smoking weed has been prolific in our community. Of course, we went through a whole crack epidemic that I don't think we've ever recovered fully from. Right. But now we've entered an opioid era. Right. We've entered an opioid era. And from what I'm hearing, like when they sat me down, it's like, yeah, Baba, back in our day, we rapped about selling drugs, and we rapped about being the drug sellers. They say now the young people are the drug users. So it's kind of like a drug using culture that's permeating inside of our community, where the young people are now using hard drugs and rapping about it and talking about it, bragging about it, and particularly the synthetic drugs like fentanyl and Percocets and things like that. And now, see, I think I froze. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, just for a second, but you back. Let's get it.
Yeah. So now the community is starting to see the consequences of that, right? And the addiction that comes with it, but not just the addiction, Baba Bomani, but also the lack of mental health, the mental consequences, the behavior that comes with being hooked on a hard drug, right? Right? The up and down, the mood swings, the instant reactions, a lot of the violence that we see happening, you know what I'm saying? It's not like necessarily gang beef or beef over money, right? It's a lot of personal beef that may originate on social media, but because you're dealing with people who aren't operating rationally, right? They're making irrational decisions. When I got there, one of the brothers that was there, one of the older brothers, he's like, man, you know, we have to walk around strapped because these young people are walking up on folks at the gas station and robbing you in the middle of the daytime while you getting your gas.
Yeah.
I'm seeing young people on the corners little kids trying to sell waters and beg for money to get something to eat.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you talk to people that are on the inside of our communities, like I'm getting reports from Arizona, from Detroit, from Memphis, from DFW, you know what I'm saying, of a desperate situation. And one of the things, not the only thing, but one of the things that's at the center is the opioid crisis, the Black opioid crisis. And that's what we wanted to kind of talk about tonight and just to touch on. But I think we're going to continue to touch on it because I think we need to start having discussions on how do we fight the drug algorithm. Yeah. We know we live in the drug culture. And we used to warn people about this, about Bomani work with young people when we had the behavior issues in school. And the first thing the school system does when the young person has a behavior issue is give them what?
Give them drugs. Yeah.
Give them drugs.
Right.
We need to put them on
drugs to them. Yeah.
Right. We need to put them on this. We need to put them on that.
Yeah.
And you'll find that a lot of the young people that are falling victim to the street medicine was at one time on a behavior what? Medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No coincidence.
No, it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to hurry. We need to be aware of that. You know, I remember when the opioid crisis hit, you know, and bless my heart, I should be most sensitive. But I remember when the opioid crisis hit in the early 2000s, it really hit the white community hard.
Right. I remember, boy, it did. Tore them up.
You remember tore them up? We was like, ooh, y'all got y'all crack epidemic now.
Yeah.
I was like, it's y'all time.
Yeah.
You know, because we went through a crack epidemic in the 80s and 90s, and didn't nobody give a damn. Everybody made jokes about the Black community going through a crack epidemic, and then it was criminalized. Y'all's president right now, the old senile dude walking around, wrote a crime bill in '94 that increased the Black population in the penitentiaries over 400%.
Right. Right.
That's how the crack epidemic was treated. So when the opioid epidemic hit whites, I'm like, oh, it's about to be on now.
No, it's a different approach to that.
It was a whole different approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. When it hit the white, when the opioid epidemic hit the white community, they wasn't screaming, lock them up.
Right.
They were screaming treatment and accountability.
Yep. Yep. Rehabilitation.
The same politicians that said lock up Black drug addicts were saying, no, addiction is a disease.
Right.
And it must be treated. And we have to make those people accountable that allowed this to happen. Am I wrong, Baba?
No, you're right. That's right. Exactly.
And so the mission became treatment centers. So treatment centers began popping up throughout white America, right? And then with the accountability, the government began suing pharmaceutical companies, right? When the government began to sue the pharmaceutical companies, many of them agreed to pay a settlement. And the reason why the pharmaceutical companies got in trouble is because the pharmaceutical companies were manufacturing drugs like Oxycontin, fentanyl, Percocet, and others, and they were downplaying how addictive they were, and then upplaying the benefit.
Right.
Like blatantly doing it.
Yeah.
Slanging dope. That's called slanging dope where I'm from.
That's what that's called. And it's going to be important that we use the terminology that is really happening at the highest levels. It's the same thing on the street. You know what I'm saying? It's just at a higher level, you know what I'm saying, with bigger stakes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because they knew what they were doing when they did it.
Yep.
So they knew that they were selling fentanyl is anywhere from 50 to 100 times more addictive than heroin.
Right.
Do y'all understand how addictive heroin is?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you have pharmaceutical companies saying, wait, we got this new thing called fentanyl. It'll knock that pain right out, and the side effects aren't even that bad. Right?
Yeah.
And they went and sold it. And then retail stores like CVS and Walgreens and stuff like that, like, shoot, we'll fill all them prescriptions. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so as a result of the white community getting hooked on it, the government went after the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Said we got to go get them, right? They went after the pharmaceutical companies to the tune Johnson & Johnson for its role was fined $5.7 billion.
Yeah.
Nice piece of coin, ain't it? Pfizer was hit for $4 billion. Nice piece of coin.
Yeah.
Right. There were even more pharmaceutical companies. I'm telling you, man, ain't nobody go to jail for putting crack in the black community.
Right.
Even when we found out it was the U.S. government, nobody went to jail.
Yep.
Or nobody paid a fine.
Yeah, nobody paid a fine. Nobody was sued.
No, none of that, right? None of that, right? Look. CVS and Walgreens had agreed to pay a combined $17.3 billion.
Right.
Allergen and Teva, $2.7 billion and $4.25 billion, respectively. Right? They got hit by the Justice Department, y'all. They had to pay these fines, right? Yeah. Now, of course, the settlements ain't always been paid, but some have, and this money was supposed to go towards treatment centers. So here you have the pharmaceutical company being held accountable, and then the money gonna be going towards treatment centers for the hardest hit areas. So what were the hardest hit areas at that time?
in the white areas where predominantly Caucasian. Yeah,
they got reparations.
Yeah.
Now people can say you chose to take that drug.
Yeah.
Ain't that how they treated us?
That's exactly what they used to say. He chose to take it. Yeah.
Ain't nobody to just say no. That's what Nancy Reagan told her.
Right. Their programs and everything.
Dare, and just say no. So you ain't have no excuse because all you had to do was say what?
No.
Say no. But somehow, if you're white and you're hooked on drugs, you're sick and you need treatment.
Yeah. You
no one should have expected you to say no.
Right.
And so here we go. I ain't mad. I ain't tripping because I believe we should get reparations. So I'm not tripping on that.
Yeah.
But then the pandemic comes around.
Yeah.
In 2020, 2021, and 2020. Right? And all of a sudden you got this worldwide pandemic and we need a what?
You need exactly what's being sued, the drugs.
You need a drug. You need a vaccine, right? So y'all go look up how much now Pfizer had to pay about $5 billion for manufacturing and promoting deadly opioids. Right. Go look how much money Pfizer made off the vaccine. Johnson & Johnson, I'll tell y'all, over $35 billion. Johnson & Johnson had to pay over $5 billion to the State Department because of manufacturing, promoting harmful drugs.
Right.
But guess how much they made off the vaccine? Over $14 billion.
Yeah.
So who paid they fine?
The taxpayers.
The taxpayers.
So it when you look at it logically, and I know we was talking about this before, is that I know that a lot of times we get emotional about these issues and we look at it what's happening in our community. If we stand back and look at this logically, well, if the government is suing you, right, is suing these companies or allowing the lawsuits of these companies, but then turn around and allow, in the pandemic for these same companies that's being sued for what they're creating, for this same company to create something that they're going to also pay tax money to, that's going to cover the suit that they just pinned on them, then
right.
Really y'all are working in unison. Y'all are working together, which I always tell people that one of the maybe the most the prioritized job of the government is to protect the profits of their corporations, especially when they're public, right? So they can put out lawsuits, but they cannot end the company unless there's something, they have some type of backup plan for that company to be rejuvenated. Just like when they have the buyout plans, they got the when they have to get the auto industry and the banks out of debt and all these different things.
Right.
We're not going to let them fail because their job is
to fail.
Yeah, too big. They're too big to fail. They have to. These are publicly traded companies, so they have to figure out how to allow them to keep operating. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but for in the public eye, right, it needs to look like they tried to go after them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just happened to be something that happened and that we needed them again. Right, the pandemic, we had to have it. You got to have your vaccine. You got to have this. So this is a must. So fear, death and life, and you think I like this. I got to go get it. And next thing you know, $35 billion has been made or has been provided for this company. While at the same time, it covers the debt of the lawsuit that was pinned on them for, the injustices, quote unquote, that they did in the 2000s to 2010s.
Right? So you go from destroying lives to saving the world. That's a hell of an image rework,
right? Rebranded, reinvented things. Yeah. Johnson & Johnson. Nobody really talk about Johnson & Johnson.
Oh,
right? Why? You know what I'm saying?
I heard Johnson & Johnson. I think shampoo. Hell, out there. Right.
You walk right by Johnson & Johnson.
But you talking about a company that just paid a multi-billion-dollar fine because they blatantly marketed poison to the public and profited from it.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So I'm just pointing that out because now we're dealing with the ramifications of it in our community. Because those pills weren't taken off the shelf. Matter of fact, the whole black market was created, for these medicines where now you get fake fentanyl, you get fake Oxycontin, you get laced this and that. And it's even more dangerous than what you get across the counter.
Right. Absolutely.
And our communities are caught up in that now. It's gone from being a white problem. The white addiction rate is starting to come down. The overdose rate is starting to decline, while the black overdose rate is going up.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to show y'all, man. I'm just going to show y'all right quick. I'm just talking about what we got, what we have to deal with. And we talk about, we down with accountability on Fight the Algorithm. We're not saying that we finna go to them and say, y'all need to help us fix our problems. That is not why we pointing this out.
No, absolutely not.
No, that ain't. We point it out because you need to know where something comes from.
Right.
But y'all check this out. Death rate from opioids by race. This is according to the American Science Journal. Well, this source is the CDC. Okay, right? So death rate from opioids by race. You see back in 2001, right? It was almost equal, where we're in the red, they're in the blue. It was a little bit more than us. I mean, these are in the thousands over here, okay? You saw as the opioid epidemic took shape, look at the blue line, which is the white line, right? Yeah. There's a nice little gap between their community and our community. But as you keep going, right? Look what happens to this red line.
Yeah.
Once you get to 2019, for the first time ever, we passed them.
Right.
How's that for integration? How's that for assimilation?
Right. I'm glad
How's that for taking on American behavior?
Right. Yeah.
And so I just wanted to show that, just in case people are still kind of unaware of what's going on out here.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, this is.
I had a mother call me 2 nights ago. Like, what do we do? How can we, what kind of programs do we need to put out here to save our sons and to save our daughters? And, you know, I got my older son, you know, when he can't find a job, he's like, he don't understand it. You don't have to go out there and be in the streets. You tell me, I don't want to be in the streets. I don't want to sell drugs. It's dangerous out here. These cats are crazy out here, but I have to make some money to feed my baby and and so what do we do? And she was asking me, what do we do?
Yeah.
And the same old, well, we're gonna put some programs in the community and help them get jobs and It's so many other things, man. It's really more psychological right now.
Right.
It's not enough to provide an opportunity. You have to provide a mentality that can what?
That can sustain that opportunity. Yeah.
Receive the opportunity.
Yeah. Right.
So, Baba Bomani, how do we fight this algorithm?
No, I love this question, and I think it falls in line with a lot of other effects that happen as a result of, you know, what has happened over many years and has compiled into this space. This is a huge question. I think we don't have enough time to go all the way in depth with it, but I would say where we could start is the language that we use for our youth. And we're talking about Black youth. We're talking about Black youth empowerment. We're talking about, you know, our future, how we engage them in a way that shifts how they see themselves. Right. And I know, you know, as the owner of the Uhuru Academy, that's a huge component of getting youth to see themselves differently, to reimagine how they operate, not only in present time, but pulling from history to understand how they project themselves into the future, how they see themselves impacting in the future. Right. This is why I'm so big on vision building, vision development. Why we push that so hard is because when we see something different, and I'm not talking about sight, I'm talking about when we envision ourselves operating in different arenas and impacting people in a way that changes the trajectory of our community, of our family, it becomes something that we start to think about more when we get ready to take an action or make a decision, right? So a lot of times for me, if I'm working with a youth that is in a situation that may be engaged with drug culture, engaged with quote unquote gang culture or negative interactions of quote unquote violence, right? A lot of times they are making these decisions based only on this small box of understanding of themselves that they have, right? They'll say, okay, they're talking only in the context of what you would hear in a rap music, right? I say rap music in a way that I'm saying when it falls into this small box of violence, drugs, where you're talking about, you know, a future talking about glorifying Percocets or these different drugs, or falls into how we have relationships with Black women, you know, how we engage in a altercation with another Black man, and everything that they talk about only feeds into these various areas. Right. But when you introduce this notion of empowerment, where they start to see themselves utilizing a natural ability, a natural genius, a natural strength, and you identify it in them, such as utilizing their leadership. They might be a leader in the street. If I identify the leadership on them while they out in the streets, well, if I can contextualize that leadership with them building something or creating something, creating a business from a legitimate business, or being able to enhance, you know, innovate some type of innovation, you know, invention, seeing themselves, how they can change and shift, how other people see them, right? It then allows them to start to think differently about, okay, does it make sense for me to engage with the drugs if I see myself becoming something that's going to impact people that are beyond me, right? And that introduction starts to shift the self-perception, right? So I think the first thing is changing the language, right? And how we need to decode what we don't understand about our youth right now, how we start to see them different, how we start to understand their natural ability to strength and start to call them by that, and be very mindful of how we speak to them and assure that what we are saying to them supports what it is that we are connecting them to, what we envision them becoming, right? And that's something that's free. That's something that we don't have to have a big program to do, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's something you just change the way that you engage them in a way that supports. Even if they're doing something right now that is detrimental, understanding that their potential is at a high level, you speak to that potential and allow that to be the words, to be the power that create the spells that change the behavior, that change their notion of who they are. Right.
I love that. I love that. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people who work with young people make, right, is speaking to every group like they already been to the penitentiary 10 times.
Man, that's the huge. Hey, brother, that is the one of the number one things that I see as an issue that happens, and especially with programs that get huge budgets. Right? They usually centralize on throwing everybody into this box, or throwing a blanket over every black youth that they work with. You know what I'm saying?
We're working with at-risk youth, and when they fail to attract and engage the youth that are actually engaging in things, they go get the youth that go to church every Sunday. They get the youth that's on the church van, bring them in and talk to them like they OG Crips.
Right. Oh man, exactly.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
Right. Yeah. I was speaking to some youth a couple of weeks ago, and I was on a panel with another brother, and we teach some youth in the Upward Bound program. And these are juniors and seniors going to school, and they in Upward Bound, spending time in college in the summer. And brother I was sitting on the panel on, his first question to them was, when did y'all stop dreaming? So I know y'all have to do a lot of grown-up stuff. When at what point did you stop dreaming? And I'm looking at like, how you know they stopped dreaming? You made an assumption. You think you're talking to youth that have lost hope. We're in the Upward Bound program. It's not relevant, right? And I think that one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that the majority of our children aren't engaged in extreme behavior. However, they know somebody, or may be connected to somebody, or relating to somebody who is. NBA Youngboy, who's the most impactful rapper to come along in the last 20 years. He don't get no radio play or nothing. But if you talk to young people on the streets, they swear by him.
Right.
Well, I've been listening and studying his lyrics. He's a very prolific writer, by the way.
Yeah.
And what he does is he's honest about his pain. Same thing that made Pac appeal to us.
Right.
He's honest about his pain. And the pain of having your father incarcerated, the pain of not having your mother in the home, being raised by your grandparents, the pain of having multiple friends being killed. Y'all, mental issues come with that. Trauma comes with that. So we have a lot of children walking around with that trauma, but because they're stigmatized as being black, we don't look at that like that boy needs somebody to talk to. That girl needs somebody to talk to. No one's dealing with the trauma. But when they act out, man, I'm going to take this to numb the pain. They talking about mental pain, spiritual pain. Then we say, see, we need to lock them up. Ain't no hope for them. We need to lock them up.
Right. No, I love that, Bible, because you said something very key when we're looking at the percentages of our youth that's, engaged in what we would call at-risk behavior, and that's the criminal element that when you throwing that blanket on, it's that 75 to 80% in the middle, right? That get ignored.
Majority.
The problem with ignoring the 80% in the middle, and I grew up in the middle, right? Is that a lot of times for us, and this is huge for me, because when I think back about my journey and why I went to the Marines, right? I wasn't engaged in no drugs. I wouldn't, even though I was around it, it was right there. I saw it every day, but I was not engaged in it. But because I was missing just a couple things that would help me to flow to the next phase of life, right? It could have been anything that could have been plugged into that. And a lot of times I see that in the with youth in the middle is that they really just need somebody to answer a question for them as it relates to this they want. That's just one answer. One question. They got one question. They need one answer. If they can get that one answer, they can take the step and move forward to the next phase of their highest potential. But when we throw that blanket on them, that means we are ignoring the questions that they had, right? Ignoring the questions that they had then starts me to question myself.
Yes.
Am I good enough? Am I work? Do I deserve? What's going to happen to me now? In that moment of vulnerability.
You said ignore. Yeah. I'm glad you said that because when I was talking to those youth at Upward Bound, I said, obviously you all are not involved in the street activity, but raise your hand if you know somebody who is or connected to somebody. One young brother raised his hand and said, yeah, my cousin is going to jail. We're about to go to the penitentiary for attempted murder. I don't know what to say to him. Right. And then another, and so I said, okay, and then another young brother said, man, how do you deal with the guilt? And I said, what guilt? The guilt of surviving.
Come on.
He said, I'm a good student, but I feel guilty that I'm doing well while everybody around me is on something else. How do you stay in this lane while everybody else around you is on another lane?
Yeah.
Right. And so I asked, I said, how do y'all feel?
Yeah.
And this one sister raised her hand. She said, ignored.
Come on. Yeah, that's it.
That we feel ignored. If you don't have a wicked jump shot, if you're not a star athlete or an extremely criminalized person,
right?
Ain't nobody checking for them.
You get ignored. And
that majority, that's that 80, that 75 to 80%, they're the ones that end up underemployed. Unemployed, or like you say, when they don't get that one answer, that one question answered,
right,
fall to the wayside.
Could fall to the wayside just like that, just missing that one bit of information, that one bit of inspiration that they needed to hear, but it got ignored talking about something that somebody else did that they never even, they never made a decision to do, right? So I'm like, well, I might as well, because I'm finding myself with my back against the same wall as the people that you try to. Right. So now I'm more susceptible. I'm more vulnerable to engage in the self-destructive behaviors. Right. And that in itself, when we do that as the village that's supposed to raise, cultivate, and protect, when we do the ignoring because we so caught up on this and emotional about, they did violence everywhere. Right. That in itself,
they all out here killing each other. No, they not
all out here killing each other. Yeah. That in itself is violent to the ones that just need you to guide, that just needs guidance. That's right. It. They didn't need you to talk about violence because they weren't engaged in it. They just needed guidance. But when you ignore the opportunity for guidance, that in itself is violence.
That's violence. In other words, stop the violence against the youth.
Right.
We always telling the youth to stop youth violence, but we're being so violent towards Black youth.
Right.
I love that, man. I love that. I love that lack of investment, that lack of interest. That taking them for granted. I'm just happy you went to school, but I'm just glad you finished school. But what's going on inside?
Right.
That sister that's going to prevent her from jumping right into a toxic relationship.
Right.
Yeah, she made the honor roll, But what good is the honor roll going to be if Fluky gets to come over and put a baby in her at 16?
Yeah. The honor roll don't go past 18. Once I walk across stage, the other roll is over with.
Yeah. Y'all, we looking at transcripts. I'm like, and she got accepted at the prayer review. Okay. But has she accepted herself?
Right. What is the self-perception?
What is the self-perception?
Right.
What are the core values? Right. And so I like how you say that in fighting that algorithm. So it sounds like you're saying that there's a silent majority among our youth that's being neglected.
Absolutely. And that's extremely important, Bible, as we shift towards understanding and solving and addressing this, is that we are at the point where we can no longer ignore that silent majority. That silent majority has to be seen. They have to be catered to, because in that silent majority, the strength of the silent majority, when they understand their vision and who they are in purpose, they have the power, right, to impact and influence the others that everybody focuses on.
That is the biggest influence on young people is other young people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Well, man, if you just want to know what the silent majority can do, go ask Donald Trump.
Right. Right.
That's exactly what they call Trump's followers, the silent majority of white voters who felt powerless when Obama was in office.
Right. Right.
And they woke up the silent majority, and the reality star and Foster was able to become president. And on the verge of being president again with 32 felonies, because that's the power of the silent majority.
Power of the silent majority.
So what if we wake up the silent majority among Black youth? What if the Black youth that want to rap about a message could get a video easier than the one that want to rap about killing somebody?
Right.
What if they got the videos? What if they got the studio time? What if they got the streams and the attention and the shows?
Yeah. What if they got our investment? What if they got our energy? Right? What if we supported, so we supported them to learn about things that they're interested in, stop downplaying it, telling them, no, that ain't gonna get you. No, you don't know that until you've invested and they've allowed the opportunity to grow in it and really unlock who they are in that space.
I bet Jeff Bezos looked real stupid in his office back in the day, talking about I'm gonna sell products over the internet.
Right. And that's exactly what happened. People like, man, you tripping.
You stupid. You ain't nobody gonna trust nobody to mail a product to their house. Now you got Amazon.
Yeah. Man, come on, man. It's that silent majority that's the least invested in, the most ignored, right? The most misunderstood, right? Even and I know this and we'll talk about this at a different time, and we'll get into the concept of athletes and the kinesthetic genius is the most misunderstood, especially when you're not playing a sport or you don't go forward beyond high school, not playing, you still got that in you. Right? That's still a part of who you are, but now it's just has to be applied to other aspects of life that allow you still to reach your full potential.
So how do I channel that?
Yeah.
And so I like talking to you. I always come away from it with hope. And
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? With a sense of solution, right? Right. And so in fighting this drug algorithm, right, we got to fight this from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And that's why I showed the pharmaceutical companies and who was complicit and helping to cause this problem or exacerbate problems that we were already having, so we don't look to that same space to solve them.
Come on. Nope.
It's not going to come from there. Now, you do have people right now who are hooked on drugs that need ways to get off that are non-pharmaceutical, and rest in power to Dr. Mutulu Shakur, who in the 1970s developed a way to get people off of opioids using acupuncture.
Right.
There are alternative systems out there to help people get off of opioids. I'll be very interested, and we're gonna bring somebody on, man. I have an elder that I can reach out to. We're gonna bring somebody on to talk about alternative means, because right now we use drugs to get people off of drugs.
Right.
That's what killed Enchanting, the young sister that just overdosed in Fort Worth. She was trying to beat the habit, but you have to wean. And once you start weaning, you still have to use, but you're using less and less until you're off. Well, that's so dangerous, especially when your drug of choice is something like fentanyl or Percocet that can kill you at any time.
Right. And you never know what other ways in which your body's operating at that time. It's so much, how far
so
off
many
places you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we even have to fight the treatment algorithm.
Right.
And so we're going to look, perhaps the next time we come through and we visit this topic, we'll bring somebody who can fight the treatment algorithm and talk about some alternative ways that we can treat it. Right. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Nagu say we have to provide and invent new atmosphere to nurture functionality and improvement, skilled trades, mental health, cultural awareness. Ashe.
Absolutely.
Hey, I ain't gonna hold you, brother.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I think it's critical. Some takeaways, like we said, man, from my parents, my warrior parents, my brothers and sisters, really take time to listen to your children, our youth, our young warriors. You know, I get impassioned, I get fired up about this now. Really take an opportunity to listen, and I know that we get frustrated. We get frustrated in many different ways with our youth, man. And I'm talking to us. This is a we situation, right? We get frustrated, but a lot of times we do have to take a deep breath, just like we tell anybody, hey, take a deep breath before you take that, you know, that action, because we don't want to be the provocateurs of violence against our youth. So we got to step back and make sure we're not being violent, and be able to listen to our own children, right? Changing our language and how we listen, how we respond, how we react to them, because the way we react can cause them to want to go into a escapism state. Right, because we the most important person, or we might be the closest person to them. So if we react in a way of frustration where we dismiss them or ignore, just like we said before, because most of our children are in that middle, right? So if we ignore them, you know, and we pay more attention to the other, you know, it's a lot that could go into that. We want to make sure that we are listening and we are responding and engaging in a way that lets them know, hey, we know that you have natural genius. We know, we are clear that you have full power and potential to pursue, and we are going to be here to support you and cultivate that, right? So this is extremely important, and a first step for us is shifting and changing our language that we use towards our youth.
I say, hey man, with that, I feel like we fought the algorithm tonight.
Absolutely, man.
You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody jumping on. Hey, become a Uhuru Academy patron. Go to patreon.com/Uhuru Academy. Your donation in each month supports African-centered education. How can everyone support you, Bob?
Absolutely. Go to pipelineofpower.com, get on our mailing list, as well as supporting the Vision Building 10K campaign, where we're on a mission over the next 12 months to unlock and unleash the vision in 10,000 young warriors and Pipeline of Power builders to impact and battle against exactly what we talked about. Because when we start to see who we are and understand our vision for impact and our purpose, it changes the dynamic of how we take actions and make decisions in our lives. So it's critical that we understand who we are, so we know where we need to move and go. Let's go.
I say. All right, y'all. Hey, thanks for listening, y'all. If you got something from the video, like it, share it. You know what I'm saying? Let's engage in these conversations in our community. We got work to do, but we can get it done. We are the ones. We are who we've been looking for. All right. It's been Fight the Algorithm. Till next time, y'all. Peace.
Let's talk about this again. It's good
yes,
stuff.
sir.